Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So, a lot of you know that I have not been watching a lot of YouTube videos out there. I've been trying to come up with my own original thoughts, and I do not want to be like mimicking some other YouTubers out there, even though they have great information and it should be spread. I really just was trying to come up with my own original thoughts. Now, this morning, I had somebody send me in my emails. I had somebody send me a link to a YouTube video interviewing Danielle DiMartino Booth. Sorry. And if you're not familiar with her, she is incredibly knowledgeable. She's worked on Wall Street, worked for, I believe, the Dallas Fed. Very, very good insight into the inner workings of the banking system and how things are going down. Pretty good interview, I thought. At 15 minutes, 15 seconds into the interview is when they nail it. Is when I feel that they really nail what's going to be happening, because what they are talking about at 15 minutes into it is how all this debt is actually deflationary. And that is why I am so not worried about inflation. Like, everybody is just like, they shake their head at me and saying, I can't believe that you're not into the whole inflation narrative, because look at what all the money printing that the Federal Reserve is doing. And I said, yes, I know. All the money printing that the Federal Reserve has been doing for the last 12 years has not produced the inflation that the Federal Reserve is looking for. Asset price inflation is through the roof. Bonds, houses, stocks, all that stuff has just gone through the roof. But the consumer price inflation, like the Federal Reserve is trying to see it, has not taken off in the same fashion. Now, I know, working retail, that I have a different perspective than what everybody else sees. Okay? My wife, she works at a grocery store. I work at a hardware store. We have our hands on the pulse of the retail industry. I mean, we see it every day. Are prices going up? Yeah, you bet. On a lot of items, there are some prices that are really going up. But not everything. Some stuff still is just the same price that it was. Some stuff really shot up in price, and then when they brought in an alternative, nobody wanted it. So this was something that was very interesting. A particular brand name of flour comes into the grocery store. Super expensive. Nobody wants it. An off-brand from Mexico comes in. Nobody buys it. $4 a pound is what it was selling for. They finally had to unload it for 69 cents a pound because nobody wanted it. Is there a supply chain breakdown here? Or was it just that brand name? I mean, that brand name had trouble getting in, but there was flour out there, and it can be sold for 69 cents a pound only because nobody demanded that flour. I saw that happen just recently. These things are taking place. Once the supply starts flowing through the system again, we're not going to see the same issues that we're seeing right now. Once China opens up and starts sending us a bunch of cheap goods again, yeah, you'll see the competition for American products and how much you'll be paying. I mean, there's a time coming, guys. Now, they explain it pretty good in there. Basically, what it comes down to is the amount of debt that's being taken out, the amount of return in GDP is diminishing. So basically, you're getting less bang for your buck. Now, the way I kind of look at it is I took it down to an analogy. And if you can imagine like the economy being broken down into two segments, either it's beer or it's saws. Like saws for like sawing up lumber, like a circular saw, right? And think about everything in the economy either being beer or saws, one of the two. Now you think about beer. What is beer? It's a consumable, right? You can drink it. Gives you a pretty good time if you think about it. There's a lot of manufacturing that goes into it with agricultural and entertainment, advertising. There's a lot of stuff that's involved with beer. The transportation, pretty much reaches the entire, country. So if you can imagine everything that's like kind of related to beer, and that being that portion of the economy, then the other side would be saws. And now you think about a saw, like a beer, you drink it one time, it's gone. A saw, you use it over and over and over again. You cut up a bunch of lumber, you fasten that together, and pretty soon you can sell whatever it is that you made by using the saw. So the saw is more of a means of production, where the beer is more of a consumable. So break down the country into, the economy into these two segments. And I know this seems kind of weird, but just follow me for a second. Now, if you're out there and you buy the beer, you're going to have a pretty good time, right? You get to share the beer, everybody gets to enjoy it. While you're drinking the beer, everybody's having a great time, right? So, yeah, you want to spend your money on the beer. However, had you spent your money on the saw, nobody enjoys that because there's no enjoyment that comes from the saw except for you get to cut up a bunch of lumber. But if you cut up a bunch of that lumber, now you can take that lumber, put it together, and make something that you can sell. Now you can take that stuff that you sell and you can go over to the consumable and buy the beer. So you see where I'm kind of coming from with that? You can either take your $100, go buy the beer, you're done, or you could take your $100, go buy the saw, and then be able to produce something that you can buy the beer over and over and over again. Now, think about it as far as debt goes. If debt is going into purchasing beer, then you have, at the time that you are drinking the beer, everything is awesome. The economy's looking good, distribution is going great, manufacturing, agriculture, all this stuff is doing awesome because you're drinking the beer. But the moment the beer is gone, and you can't buy any more, now you have a problem. The economy freezes up. So you have to buy more beer. Now this is where it comes in. If it's debt that purchased the beer, you either have to take out more debt to buy the beer, or you have to stop consuming the beer and pay for the past beer that you have already drank. You see the difference here? If you take the debt and you buy a saw, now you have to use the saw over and over again until it has paid back the principal plus the interest payments on the loan. And once that has happened, now the saw is producing. So this is where we're at. The debt is going into purchasing beer. And while we're drinking the beer, everything is going to be awesome. But the debt really should have gone into buying saws. And then after we use the saws for a while and pay back the debt that we used to buy the saws, the production begins and we can buy as much beer as we want after that. So this is the difference. This is why we're going into a deflationary scenario. Is because all this debt that has been taken out that should have gone to buying saws, which they say they're going to go to buying saws here in the future, has been going to buying beer. And that is why when the beer runs out, we'll be going into a deflationary scenario as we have to work in order to pay for the past consumption of beer, and we don't get to buy any more beer. And that's the difference. See, the money should have gone into buying saws the whole time, but buying saws, there's no fun in that. It's nothing but production. And production means that you have to wait for a while of producing to pay for the debt that you have done before it starts to make you any money. Let's go drink some beer, yo. All right, Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.